Now to a shocking story out of the East Bay. An Amazon delivery driver has been arrested for allegedly assaulting a 67-year-old woman.
So I was just at the beach, and I was just laying there by myself. There was no one around me. There was no one next to me. I was like at the top of the beach. And what did this old decide to do? He decided to go directly next to me at the top of the beach.
Children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people.
And guess what? They cannot, it's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them.
So let's discourage our friends, our neighbors, our family members from embarking on what is otherwise an extremely dangerous journey, where in large part the only people who benefit are coyotes.
Joe Manchin has become the new Mitch McConnell.
Holy lordy lordy. So that last fellow, in case you didn't know, that was Jamal Bowman. Is he a senator or a Congress senator? No, he's a congressman out of New York. He's a moron. That's fine. And,
he's the newest squad member.
Right. And Joe Manchin essentially has sunk the Biden administration's agenda here going forward. What's it called? The voting...
H.R. 1?
H.R. 1.
Before the People Act? Is that one?
He's out. Yeah. He's probably not going to bite on the infrastructure that Biden wants.
Mm-hmm. Well, the For the People Act, too, this was not put together as legislation that was meant to pass a 50-50 Senate. This was legislation that was put together before they had the Senate, and they didn't expect to even have a chance to pass it. So it's also just not ready for prime time.
Yeah, but it did pass the House. It was a dream piece of legislation.
But it's not.
It's a total.
It's not
a progressive,
something
crazy BLM voter bill, and it would, among other things, it would create these one-stop shops for voting. It would have voting bundlers. What's it called when you harvesting?
Ballot harvesting.
Ballot harvesting, which is a beauty, among other provisions. It's a wacko bill that really would put the legitimacy. It would nationalize all the elections, which would do.
Right.
Take them all out from under the purview of the states, which is crazy. States know states. And
fundamentally, it's not our business here in Massachusetts how Texas wants to, determine the results of their elections, or how California wants to determine the results of their elections. We can have opinions on it here in Massachusetts, but if they want to choose their next senator, at a mud wrestling contest, then that's their business. That. We don't have the right to say how they do their elections. That's just, that's my opinion, but it's not. It's up to the state to determine how the state's voting rules work, and that includes electoral votes.
Right. So in this bill, states are compelled to accept, this is from National Review, an editorial, states are compelled to accept voter registrations from 16-year-olds, although they still cannot vote before turning 18. An amendment to mandate that, too, was defeated. Democrats and their political allies who rely on the youth vote traditionally expend extensive resources registering young people. The bill shifts the job of signing up young voters to the federal government, which will pay to teach 12th graders how to register, create a campus vote coordinator position on college campuses, and award grants to colleges for, quote, demonstrated excellence in registering students to vote. This is measured in part by whether the campuses provide rides to get students to the polls, and whether they encourage both students and the communities around the campus to get mobilized to vote. Restrictions on felon voting in federal elections in many states are overridden. This exceeds Congress's constitutional authority over the conduct of elections by directly regulating who may vote rather than how. Not content to remake the American voting system, H.R. 1 takes the drawing of congressional districts out of the hands of elected state legislatures who have done this job since the founding, and turns them over to independent commissions, while banning mid-decade readjustments of district times. So in other words, under the guise of Republicans using gerrymandering to win elections, create districts and win elections nationwide, this would give the job to the Federal Election Commission in Washington, D.C. They would decide essentially who gets elected into Congress. from these states, and among other things. As a matter of fact, if they're doing the districting out of D.C., that's crazy. Gerrymandering is a thing, and it goes both ways in this country. If right here in Massachusetts, it is beautiful the way these districts are drawn.
Right.
You know, there's a district that goes from Belmont, Massachusetts, essentially to Cape Cod. It's all over almost every state, I think.
It also doesn't affect the Senate or the electoral votes, which is the biggest things that we always hear Democrats complain about. Gerrymandering literally cannot affect Senate races because the Senate race is the whole state, as are generally the electoral votes. You know, I think there's 2 states that allocate any electoral votes by congressional district, so it's almost irrelevant. And in terms of the Senate and the White House, anyway.
Right. It also counts inmates as residents of their last address, even if serving a life sentence, a provision aimed at reducing the representation of rural areas where prisons are located. Isn't that clever? These are just the warm-ups. H.R. 1's crackdown on political speech are at least as extensive and biased as its changes to election law. And some of the provisions on coordination and foreign-related activity are so complex that even election law experts warn that their impact is impossible to determine. For example, one provision could be read to bar corporations from political activity if they have even a single foreign shareholder. The new anti-speech laws would generate years of litigation, and many of them would likely be struck down by the Supreme Court. New disclosure rules would treat huge amounts of speech and advertising on matters of public concerns as if they were campaign contributions.
Yes, this is a big one that people are very concerned about.
Yeah, including any advertisements urging viewers to contact elected officials to support or oppose a program, policy, or law. This would require donors to say the AARP to be identified as supporters of any candidate if the AARP demands that the candidate keep a promise to protect Social Security. The cumulative effect is to further burden citizen rights to petition and further insulate the government from criticism. Yada, 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 yada. So anyway, Manchin has said he wrote an op-ed in a paper in West Virginia and said, screw it, I'm not doing this, not going there. So that's the provision, the progressive fever dream bill is finito. Manchin has also been vocal about being a little sick and tired of being pushed around by the Biden administration, who's being pushed around by the wackos, and he's just about had enough. And, and this is a guy who didn't win his last election by that big a margin, and people should, and the left is saying they hate him. Well, that's fine. If you beat this guy up, he's going to get beat by a real Republican.
Right. You know? And then you'll have exactly 49 votes in the Senate, which is not going to be as helpful to you as having Joe Manchin on board for certain things. Like, I mean, even take the infrastructure bill. He probably would be on board with certain infrastructure spending. Joe Manchin would.
Totally. He's kind of an infrastructure hawk.
Yeah. So you could get something passed through that. Is he going to pass an infrastructure bill, the biggest piece of which goes to service workers for some reason? No, he's not, because that's not infrastructure, and he's not interested in that, and it's just more left-wing wish list stuff. You know, the infrastructure bill is a wish list. The American Family Plan is a stupid, huge wish list of stuff. This is not stuff that you're going to get people to, overturn the filibuster over. There are things that they could do that would put real pressure on Manchin to get rid of the filibuster. You know, that like genuinely popular policies. Like if they did a serious tailored infrastructure bill and they couldn't get up to 60 votes, that would put pressure on Manchin and Sinema to get rid of the filibuster. If they did, like very pared down, careful gun control measures, they probably could put pressure on him to get rid of the filibuster for something like that. For what they have now, these multi-trillion-dollar ridiculous progressive bills, he has absolutely no incentive to get rid of the filibuster for something like that.
Right.
There's no way. And it's
Yeah.
so short-sighted and weird. Like, I cannot understand what the long-term plan is here.
There is no long-term plan. They're absolutely you've had this gift in the coronavirus and this in the Georgia election, and they're this close, and it's already been crazy. The rhetorical changes we've made and symbolic changes we've made over the last year have been incredibly exciting to the wacko left, and now they're this close, and they've seen the game plan is there. You denigrate and deride somebody if they're not all in. There's no half in. You know, they need to be absolutely all in, and that's what Jamal Bowman was doing. Already, Manchin is the enemy.
Manchin is a no on doing anything to end the filibuster. He put it in writing. Your reaction?
Joe Manchin has become the new Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, during Obama's presidency, said he would do everything in his power to stop Obama. He's also repeated that now during the Biden presidency by saying he would do everything in his power to stop President Biden. And now Joe Manchin,
which is treated, by the way, as some kind of slur, but which is precisely what you do when you're an oppositional party leader,
is doing everything in his power to stop democracy and to stop our work for the people, the work that the people sent us here to do. H.R. 1 not only is a huge bill when it comes to voting rights, it's a huge bill in terms of getting big money out of politics, protecting our elections against fraud, and ending gerrymandering. I mean, big money in politics is what's destroying our democracy, and the Republican Party is aiding and abetting that, and Donald Trump is...
So this is madness. The idea that the way to celebrate democracy is to centralize all of the laws, power, and regulations is anti-democratic. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It is top-down, and I'm not going to say authoritarian, but top-down, you know, federal dictates are precisely not the reason we formed the country. We didn't want this. We wanted to be able to do our own thing in our own places.
Right. I mean, this has been an ongoing tension since the founding of how powerful the federal government should be versus the individual states. And I think there's sort of a nationalization of our political conversations and our politics. I mean, you see it everywhere in like school board meetings where they're talking about national issues and things where, you know, you have city councils like condemning Trump's border policy at the city council and your local government, which I think is really unhealthy and bad. The idea that our federal government should be dealing with every aspect of our lives, I think, is really toxic and not a healthy way to run the country, especially because the country is so big and so politically diverse. You know, different people have very different ideas of how things should be run in this country. So we need to, you know, let them live places where they can run their lives the way that they want to, and other people can live other places where they can run their lives the way that they want to.
Yes, and the political necessities of Alabama are not the same as Rhode Island, or the Pacific Northwest is not like the Southeast, and there are different maladies, needs, and experiences that are happening around. It's so you even have to mention it is crazy, but. And John Berman, I always thought was a jerk on CNN. I must say, though, that he wasn't having it from Jamal Bowman.
Gerrymandering. I mean, big money in politics is what's destroying our democracy, and the Republican Party is aiding and abetting that, and Donald Trump is obviously doing that as well. So Manchin is not pushing us closer to bipartisanship. He is doing the work of the Republican Party by being an obstructionist, just like they've been since the beginning of Biden's presidency.
So is that really fair to compare Joe Manchin to Mitch McConnell? Manchin, I think, would point out that he has voted on legislation that's reached the floor. He's voted, I think, 100% of the time with President Biden. And another way to look at this, and we'll give you the numbers later in the show, Harry Etten's joining us, it's not like there's any other Democrat on earth who could be a senator from West Virginia right now. And if you didn't have Joe Manchin, there's almost zero chance you'd have a Democrat in West Virginia and zero chance you'd have control of the U.S. Senate.
Well, listen, the bottom line is this. H.R. 1 has popularity across.
Does not address the points that are brought there.
Nope.
But this is interesting. Is this the demarcation line between progressive Democrats like John Berman and wacko woke Democrats? Is this where they say, well, wait a second here? You know, it's been a tough year, and we like anti-federalism, and we like just using the model of the power of Anthony Fauci. Yes, that's exciting that we could do some central planning, certainly. But no, you cannot, de-state the union.
Right.
The country, in West Virginia and across the country, well over 65% of the American people support H.R. 1, and well over...
I'd like to see that horse bleep poll.
Yeah, it's because I'm sure they, put a certain aspect. Do you think
gerrymandering's bad? Yes. You support it then.
I know, exactly. That's what they do, is they phrase it.
Do you think racism should be something that's adjacent to voting? No. Well, you support the bill.
50% of Republicans support H.R. 1. So the American people sent us to Washington to do...
50% of Republicans support H.R. 1.
Mm-hmm.
I respect his audacity. Might as well.
Do a job. I mean, consider this. Just a few weeks ago, we had a bipartisan piece of legislation looking to form a commission to study the...
Oop, this is my fault. I've got
January 6th insurrection, the first attack on our capital since the War of 1812. It was a bipartisan piece of legislation, and it did not pass. Why? Because of the filibuster, and because the majority of Republicans are focused much more on
comes
obstruction.
Berman again.
We have to end the filibuster. It's a Jim Crow relic, and we have to do the work of the American people.
Just to point out, Manchin did vote for the bipartisan commission.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
John Berman doing a little bit of homework, not having it, drawing the line in the sand. But yeah, it's and this by Biden standing by, by once reasonable Democrats standing by and watching and letting Manchin get flogged. Certainly that they're creating an entreaty for him to go to the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you're pissing him off. And he's not going to... He is a politician. He's been a governor. He's a wise politician. And you don't stand around if you're a politician and allow yourself to be stabbed repeatedly unnecessarily.
Yeah, why would you?
Right.
And actually, although, honestly, of course it pisses him off because it's like disloyal and rude, but politically, it's honestly good for him in his home state.
Oh, yeah.
To be constantly, famously, the only bulwark against crazy Democrats. I mean, that's great for his cred as a moderate Democrat in his state, where if it weren't him, it would be a real Republican, as you pointed out.
Well, you're exactly right. So now you can go home and say, by the way, in D.C., they call me the new Mitch McConnell.
Like, great.
His voters love that. So that's what's going on with that. Yeah, I was listening to who was listening? I was the commentary guys. And they talked about, and Shapiro talked about the same thing as well. But it does seem like this is the end of the Biden agenda.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to probably, best case, like, stay the same in 2022 for seats. Like, I was just looking at what seats are up in 2022, and there's two toss-ups where Republicans are retiring. But then they have to defend a bunch of seats that aren't going to be that easy to defend. Raphael Warnock's seat is up again in 2022.
I thought it was up.
Special.
For some reason, I thought it was up sooner, but nothing can be up sooner, I guess, right?
Yeah, no, it's, in 2022. So that's soon, and there's there's a few others that are kind of close, like New Hampshire, Maggie Hassan's up. There's Mark Kelly.
She won by 1,000 votes, by the way.
Yeah, there's Mark Kelly in Arizona. His seat's up. Like, I mean, there's a bunch of seats here that are not.
Mark Kelly has been pretty darn solid.
He is solid. I would say though that
is he
Arizona,
Gifford's husband or the brother of Gifford's husband?
He's Gifford's husband.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
that being said, he has done a good job, but Arizona is a state where if Biden's approval starts sinking with independents, there could be a problem in Arizona. You know, if the Democratic Party is being too crazy, and it's a midterm. So turnout in a midterm is never like what it is in a presidential election. These people won their seats. Like, the turnout's not going to be what it was for Warnock in 2020.
No.
In 2022, it's just not going to be.
Unless...
And there's no Trump anymore to rally people against.
The thing is there no Trump anymore? He was just on TV the other day, even though Fox didn't carry him. Interesting. But, you know, it matters. If Trump's around, if there is a Trump some more, then that could be a problem. Also, if there's a Trump some more, and you can nationalize every single election, if you can nationalize the Mark Kelly election, the Arizona GOP is nuts.
The Arizona GOP is nuts. That's
right.
True.
So if we can make that a national cause to say this is the Trump, the poor boys down there, and a whole bunch else horses' tails, then maybe, who knows? I see the possibility of the Republicans screwing it
about
up.
Any of these, but. All they have.
When do you talk over me, by the way?
Sorry.
No, I mean, I used to be able to do it with impunity to you, but now you're winning.
I don't know.
So I gotta turn your.
My point is just that this is not.
You look lovely today, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you think Alice looks lovely, by the way, feel free to tweet about it. I think she looks great. She's got her Killers t-shirt on.
Thank you. My point is.
I think you wore that when we were first courting.
I think so. I think this is from a thrift store, maybe. I don't even know. But I like the Killers. My point is just that, you know, who knows what's going to happen, but they could very easily only have this 51 vote majority through, if you know, for another year. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And then, or year and a half now. But, like, what are they doing? Because this stuff that they're putting forward is not going to pass in the current situation. And I mean, I don't get it, other than like eventually circling right back to Trump's border policies and continuing Trump's plan with the vaccine. Like, I don't get what they're doing right now, because they're not putting forward anything serious. Like, what is the Biden agenda?
Well, it's to build back better. Right now, it is.
Well, right, but this stuff isn't going to pass as it is. What's the Biden agenda that can actually get done right now?
Other than COVID, nothing. I mean, a pen and a phone stuff now.
Yeah, I mean,
although he did most of that in the first 48 hours.
There's bipartisan stuff that you could get done if you wanted to. A lot of Republicans want a plan for, you know, essentially cash to families with kids, like to support families, and like paid family leave and these kinds of policy. A lot of Republicans are on board with stuff like that. I think you could do some kind of criminal justice reform and get enough like liberty-minded Republicans on board with it if it wasn't nuts. You know,
you did 2 years ago with Trump.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you wanted to do bipartisan stuff and put real pressure on Republicans that would, you know, get them interested in cooperating with stuff, you could do that. But they're just clearly not interested in doing that at all. They just want to put
Republicans aren't going to vote for language that's got social justice strewn through it.
Right. No, of course not.
And Democrats, the heat of the party, won't vote for anything that doesn't.
Right.
Everything has to have social justice, theocratic messages in there now, or else it's not. Or is it theologic? Theologic, probably, right?
I mean, theocracy is like a government by a religious group. So really either.
So yeah, you're right. I don't see a plan. I mean, they could. You could, God forbid, try to come up with some laws about immigration on the southern border. It's extremely unsexy, and it's a quick way to lose political capital. Mm-hmm. But maybe the visual, I mean, instead of Kamala Harris ping-ponging over the border to hang out in Guatemala and beseech people not to march to the border, maybe you could have some kind of law.
Right.
Maybe
yeah.
you could have
and I think a lot of Republicans would be willing to come to some kind of agreement where if you seriously secured the border, I think they'd be willing to talk about people who are already here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say if you're already here and you served in the military, then you can have amnesty or something after the border is actually secured, not before that, because then more people just keep showing up. Like, you can't have that as the plan, but I think
more people keep showing up, and I got to tell you that if you're an American small business owner,
mm-hmm.
and you're looking at a forced $15 or now $20 minimum wage,
mm-hmm.
and the only thing between you and the collapse of your business and livelihood is to hire people off the books,
right?
Then you'll do it.
Yeah.
And if people from the Golden Triangle know that there's hiring happening, then they're going to take those jobs.
Right. So, I mean, that's the dilemma. But yeah, but there is room for some kind of compromise there.
Sure.
Where Republicans would be willing to do something about immigration if Democrats were. But, you know, that takes work, and
it's such a useful, tried and true weapon politically. Mm-hmm. That, I mean, if you can sneak somebody in there to take some pictures of kids in cages, it's the political utility is so effective.
Right.
That both sides use it, gleefully use it. We've seen it, disgraceful. That it's going to be tough not to do it, because Congress is a group of 400 some odd fundraising specialists.
Mm-hmm.
And those pictures and email blasts mean that you're raising funds, that you're fundraising.
Right.
And if you're a good earner, then it's incentivized.
Right.
Then you get treated really well. And go on there. Some people, you can do it with the kids in cages. Some people go out, like Matt Gaetz on Fox News, or Swalwell on MSNBC, throw grenades all day. And I mean, that's that. They're not legislators anymore.
Right.
They're primetime marquee, activists and fundraising machines.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if that's been made okay, then why the hell would you want to change the border? It's the best thing there is for you. The more it's a mess, the better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's unfortunate, but none of them has any incentive to actually do anything. They're all busy being political celebrities and getting invited to conventions and things like this, then speaking engagements and all their various stuff that they do to make money on the side. Right. I mean, these are people, I think everybody, at least in the Senate, and probably a lot of the people in Congress, are all millionaires. Mm-hmm. Aren't all of them millionaires?
I don't know if they're all millionaires, but great numbers of them come out a lot better than they were.
And it's a job that has a salary of $175,000 and where you have to live in one of the most expensive areas of the country. So, I mean, that's why
they sleep in their offices.
That's a good salary, but it's
or they
not
bunk with Frank Luntz.
But it's not become a millionaire salary.
No. No.
So
you get to become a millionaire salary from other, certainly from lobbying, but also, some of them just have the darndest luck when it comes to the stock market. It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
If they're getting information beforehand.
Yeah, weird.
So, Alice?
Yes.
How
is Co-President Harris doing?
Yeah, okay, I'll play. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'll play that, and then I've got to get to some personal issues with you.
Oh, no. Tom was very mad at me this week, by the way, because I trashed the studio.
Mm-hmm. She had her sister and Caroline in, who did a. Can we say what they did?
They recorded 2 episodes.
They had a podcast session where Alice had to treat the studio like the Who was sleeping here. And everything was torn apart. The desk is still not the same as it was, and things are just a little different around here. I feel like
I think it was worth it.
Well, we'll see.
For our listeners, we'll appreciate and probably our YouTube viewers will appreciate the Jane and Caroline.
But
podcast.
I have several gripes about you that we'll get to.
Okay. Go ahead.
But first, Kamala Harris is, of course, her job is to fix the border, so she's down in Guatemala right now. And this is what she's saying to the people of Guatemala.
And I want to emphasize that the goal of our work is to help Guatemalans find hope at home.
We're just going to embark on a little bit of nation building for a while. You know, by the way, if
are Americans feeling hope yet? By the way,
yeah, right. I'm sorry. Now that we've killed all of our businesses up here, we're going to try to help you with yours. If I were Guatemalans, I'd be running like hell. So no,
a 2x4 costs like $50. But other than that,
I had a cousin who worked at Legal Seafood 6 months when it existed. Thanks for helping, government, but I think we're good.
At the same time, I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come.
Do not come. I know Biden said to surge in. And the president of Guatemala has been just shivving her. So, you know, he's been doing commercials and photo sprays with her bilats, where he's been saying, you know, the tone changed, the message changed as soon as Biden was elected, so it incentivized a lot of our folks to get out of Dodge. So
the United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border.
Xenophobia. This is sheer xenophobia.
What happened? She raised her hand for open borders at the second debate.
I remember that. And free health care. How are they supposed to get their health care if they can't get over the border that she's going to have open? What was that?
I don't know, but the one that escapes sometimes is here, asleep.
Okay.
There are legal methods by which migration can and should.
Did Stephen Miller write this? This is dark and ominous.
Yeah.
What about Bring Us Your Poor?
Yeah,
is Yamiche Alcindor going to ask about that?
This goes very much against the spirit of the Statue of Liberty poem. And, I mean, they're working on the wall again.
Right.
And,
Build bridges, not walls, I say. I also say that we shouldn't, climb up the ladder and then pull the ladder up after us.
Right.
But we, as one of our priorities, will discourage illegal migration. And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back.
What's this, I believe? Why did you equivocate there?
I don't know. I don't understand that one at all. As if you're not the co-president of the country.
Can you ask somebody before?
Is there anybody who's in charge of things like this that, you could maybe figure out what the policy is going to be? Like, I don't.
So let's discourage our friends, our neighbors, our family members from embarking on what is otherwise an extremely dangerous journey.
You know what they're saying? They're saying that, if this lady came all the way down here and is trying to bribe us by rebuilding our communities,
bringing us hope,
is not going anywhere near the border herself that she's supposed to be fixing right now, they're saying, you know what? That baby's wide open. Let's go. Sure, that's fine. I like your Timberland shoes, but we're going to be walking now to America. Thank you, though, Kamala.
Where in large part the only people who benefit are coyotes.
Huh. Isn't that interesting, Alice? Because I remember just last year hearing one of the biggest xenophobe Nazis in history use that word.
Children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels, and they're brought here, and they used to use them to get into our country. We now have as strong a border as we've ever had. We're over 400 miles of brand new wall.
More truth to that than we can ever think. But wait.
Children are brought here by coyotes.
He said that, and Twitter absolutely exploded. Joe Biden used it to jump all over him in that same debate. Would I have that? Oh, yes.
And guess what? They cannot. It's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them.
That's right. It wasn't coyotes. It was the parents, dang it.
Well,
you had a Democratic Congresswoman from Georgia say, did real Donald Trump just say 545 kids, they can't find their parents, came over through cartels and coyotes? How the hell does a coyote bring a whole human across the border? Lord, stop talking. You had, on the left, you had all sorts of people who could not contain themselves. They were so thrilled.
Lots of very smart people
Yes.
had never heard the term coyote used in that sense before.
All blue check marks. Somebody, Shannon O'Neill. Children are brought there by coyotes. The Sin City Coyotes. Van Lathan, Prescott, Rossi, Coyotes. These are all blue check marks. I don't know who any of them are, but they are. Lexa Dog. Please explain children are brought here by coyotes to me. I'm certain that's not literal. Yeah, genius. Perry Gilpin and the children are brought to us by coyotes. But yes, as it turns out, actually, you know what? You know who even did it? Mentioned it? Oh, no, I thought, no, it's not it. I was hoping. There's all sorts of people. They were brought by coyotes in drug leaders. Pictures of coyotes. Wile E. Coyote, Kelly Brinkley, Jennifer Thompson. All people who are more smarter than you and me. Hundreds, thousands, millions of people, as far as I know, said it. But now coyotes are a thing. Isn't that interesting? The media did not have Trump's back. I saw one fact check, might have been the USA Today fact check, said, well, it's complicated. Yeah. So he kind of meant coyotes, but it's complicated. All right. Well, let's see where we are. Okay, so time to get to some idiots, Alice. Or you know what? I want to talk for a second. I in my Substack today, I wrote about that audio we played yesterday with Stelter. I thought I had brought it, but I don't think I did. But is it here somewhere? Something Stelter. Hold on. You stay there. Stelter. It was Stelter and Jen Psaki.
Jen Psaki, yes.
And so, yes. Where are you? Here it is. So this is it.
For other PR professionals who watch what you do, for journalists who watch what you do, what's your advice?
Oh, that's not it. That's another phantasmal tongue-bathing question he asked.
While you look for that, I'll just point out that not only was Kamala
here it is.
down
Hold on. Go ahead.
In Guatemala decrying coyotes, but on her flight on Air Force 2, she also provided the journalists on the plane with cookies of her face.
Yes.
Her face likeness on a cookie.
Yes, which the press was thrilled at, of course, because they loved it. Oh my God, that's so great. Here we go.
Jen, thanks for coming on Reliable Sources.
My pleasure.
Busy summer ahead, infrastructure, election reform. What does the press get wrong when covering Biden's agenda? When you watch the news, when you read the news, what do you think we get wrong?
Well,
Which
look,
is
I think
unbelievable.
some of our muscles have atrophied a little bit over the last...
he basically is down to his skivvies and is hogtied, begging her to flog him. And that's what my Substack was about today. For a journalist to ask, audit us right here, please. Let me know how bad I've been. Tell me, Jen. Is a specific category of pornography that I generally know not so much about. And it was disgusting.
You seem to know a lot in your Substack today. My goodness.
Isn't that?
It was a little bit. It was a very raunchy.
Yes,
I don't
it
know
was.
if
That's
I
the bluest
can
I've
approve
ever
that
written.
content.
Can you imagine
My
I tried to write that
goodness.
for a newspaper? It's the bluest I've ever written. So do subscribe, please, and you can read my very overerotic copy. But anyway, it was ridiculous what she was doing. So I got to thinking about it. Once again, I just want to say that's unprecedented, that somebody would ask that of a press secretary.
Not even like the most shameless news channels like OAN that would like ask Trump questions like, about, they asked like the most planted sounding questions ever. Like not even OAN would ever do that.
Yes.
How are we journalists doing a bad job, Mr. Trump? Never. They just would not. I can't imagine it. It's crazy.
The job of a newspaper is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Remember, that is a quote from a book in 1902. Well, that is not what Stelter was doing, and that was disgraceful. And that's what I wrote about in the Substack in my very pornographic dispatch today. So please do subscribe if you like. TomShattuck.com.
Yeah, that's a locked one, but you can subscribe for free, and you get an email per week free as well.
Exactly. So. Hey, and by the way, considering my blue streak, Alice, there was nudity in a Substack dispatch of mine in the last couple of weeks.
Yes, that's true.
Was there not?
There was.
Very pleasing looking young lady. Am I right?
Was naked to save the
correct. So
the
guys,
planet
you
or
hear
something.
me. All right. So here's the thing. So as I was writing this, I was thinking. I thought back to that time on the around Valentine's Day when Joe and Jill Biden and Champ and Major, before they were euthanized, were walking in the White House lawn.
Yeah, where are they?
Don't ask questions. So we're walking in the White House lawn, and I watched the whole event on C-SPAN, and you don't expect generally if you're in the press, you take every advantage to ask tough questions because you need answers. You need copy for the paper, and your editor's going to say, "Wait a second, you went and asked about the dog? That's not good. You don't go and ask about the dog. You don't have to be an a-hole, but you ask a question, a question that you have access because the American public trusts you to disseminate information and get answers for you from this guy." But it just blew me away how freaking affectionate the press was. They were so
love him.
Affectionate. Listen to this.
What's your gift for Valentine's Day?
It's not Valentine's Day. I'm not telling you.
Okay, that guy laughing? First of all, you have to be in love with him. Remember when we first started dating, Allison, it was very clear that you were in love with me?
Yeah.
One of the reasons I could tell that you were smitten was that I would say dumb things and you were laughing. I was like, but that wasn't even funny. No, I can be funny. But, for instance...
I think you're very funny.
Well, Alice, as a matter of fact, I'm still a little bit shaken because I was at the supermarket today and found out that the produce manager was sent to jail. What's funny with that?
Nothing.
Yeah, no.
Nothing.
Unfortunately, he was...
Go ahead.
Yeah, he was found guilty by a jury of his peers. So
imagine the content I get every day, people. Really, really, you're all missing out.
So anyway, that's what, like, that guy laughing. It's like, what is it? How many of you are aroused right now? And if you raise your hand, then maybe this shouldn't be the beat for you. I don't even like to use the word beat.
Valentine's Day is a big day. Jill's favorite day. For real.
What inspires you to do this?
I just wanted some, joy, and I think things have been, so with the pandemic, just everybody's feeling.
What inspired you to do it? I wonder how that piece of journalism is going to go.
Feeling a little down, so it's just a little joy, a little hope. That's all.
Wow, that's was the word "what inspired you" ever used to Donald Trump or Melania Trump? No. It was vicious ice queen destroyed the rose garden.
She did an evil, dark Christmas display. It was terrible. It looked like aliens.
How do you extend that love story to the American people that are feeling so down right now, so discouraged?
Tell them there is.
Oh my God, that is rated X right there. How do you extend that love story to the American people? So now that the copy is going to read, the president says he extends that love story to the American people by reassuring them that everything's going to be all right. She's writing his PR release.
Yeah.
There's hope. There's hope. You just have to stay strong.
How do you extend that love story to the American people that are feeling so down right now?
Remarkable. That's Ellen wouldn't ask a question that fluffery. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Next time, bring us coffee too.
Yeah, that's true. I wasn't sure you'd all be here, but
we'll be here.
Yeah. Will you bring us coffee too?
We'll be here.
And there you go. Once again, this is a paid grown man journalist you're about to hear, and I'll let this play after.
Love your dogs. We live here. Yeah.
Love your dogs. Is that a question, or are you unable to contain an amorous eruption inside of yourself? We love your dogs. Can you imagine? Jules Crittenden, Alice, would cover me with gasoline and burn me alive right there in the newsroom if I had said that.
That's an editor.
A
formerly an editor
and a great editor, a guy who believes in journalism.
Right.
And this is...
Love your dogs. We live here. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, putz. My God, you fools.
Even Biden is like, really, guys?
I mean, no wonder why Major started biting everybody. It's like, really? Disgrace.
The journalist probably thanked Major during a bit. Was it a journalist? I don't even remember now. But If a journalist got bitten by Major, they'd probably be like, yes, that's amazing.
No,
I love
it's okay. It's okay, but he's tearing your arm off. No, it's okay.
It's
Good boy.
great.
He must smell my dog. Got that from somewhere. It's not my own. Not like the pear joke, which is all me.
You invented that?
Yes. He was sent there by a jury of his peers, Alice, to jail.
It sounded like it came from like a funny joke book from like the 90s or something.
You would think it was so good, right? No, I thought of it. I'm sure that it is the standard pear go-to punchline.
Is that?
I'll be using that more. As a matter of fact, I was actually at the Market Basket today and thought how I would approach somebody to talk to tell them my joke. And I would. If the problem is, I would have to say, okay, listen. I have an Instagram, but there's not too many followers. But I have a Twitter account, and I'm a blue check mark on Twitter, so you can trust me. So I'm not creepy at all. I'm gonna say something to you, and you react. It was just too much, into it. And I figure the approach, I would start to collapse during the approach, and they'd be like, okay, you're a stalker and sick, because obviously I don't even ask cute women, right? That's who you ask, right?
I mean, I think if you started to approach women who were trying to just work at Market Basket.
No, not work.
Or like shop at Market Basket and start telling them pear jokes.
Every woman loves that.
I'd be afraid.
I realize I'm fat and 50. But hold on, let me stop your day in its tracks for a moment. This is going to pay off for you.
Love your dogs.
They live here. Yeah, thanks. Champ's an old one.
Which one's the old one, President?
Well, he's almost...
Which one's the old one? He just told you, sycophant. If you can stop lathering yourself for one moment.
14 years old. I had him here when we became the vice presidency.
Can you not contain your, euphoric pleasure moan for a second?
They're buddies.
Yeah, they are buddies.
They're buddies.
Another member of the press says, Champ and Major are buddies.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry.
You got a nice pair there, Joe.
Say again?
You got a nice pair of dogs there.
I do. They're good boys.
Thank you. Now that all three networks have completely Lewinsky'd me on behalf of my dogs, I appreciate it.
Well, also, the way he first said it was, you have a nice pair there, Joe.
Oh, maybe. He wasn't talking about dogs, actually. Good point.
Scary.
Good.
I'll bring the donuts next Friday if you come back.
Okay. I tell you what, I apologize here. I didn't have to take
another member of the press.
I didn't even have it.
So now you have Biden at this point now giving his cup of coffee to a member of the press who doesn't have a mask on, who now is worried about not having a mask. He's now forcing her to take a coffee, which is also, if Trump ever did, not that he get close to anybody, but if Trump ever would be considered, there would be a psychologist on every station.
Taste. Here, come on. I promise you.
I'm going to get in trouble. I don't have my mask.
I give you my word. I didn't have anything.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. See you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. President. You're my president. You got male reporters, acting like Marilyn Monroe singing to JFK in these breathy tones. We love
your dog.
Oh, my God. They're buddies.
You got a nice pair there, Mr. President.
Alice. Wow. Let me class it up. So, continuing on our... should we get right to the sexy Kendra star?
I don't know that story. I don't think I...
Yes, you do. You gave me this.
I did.
This is a TikTok person, but this can't be libs of TikTok. This is a woman probably in her early 20s named Kendra Starr. And she is angry. Uh-oh. What happened?
Have Sally help you.
What happened, Anson? Is there a fire? No. Okay. What? Does anything...
He said something happened when he made tea.
Did you make it in the microwave?
Can you have Sally help you? Okay.
Thank you. And report back. This is dereliction duty on our part because the freaking kitchen's on fire, probably. All right, but
he said it's not on fire. He probably just spilled it.
Something happened is ominous to me. Sally, report back after he comes back.
Sally, find out what's going on in the kitchen, please.
And scream if there's something that needs our attention. Okay, Kendra Starr's TikTok. Now, so she is doing this from her car. She is very angry. She is wearing a bikini A yellow bikini. Now, I don't notice anything about women, Alice, but is there anything that we should know about her?
I don't think... Oh, I did find it.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Can you describe her to the audience? Because I don't see things. I don't see things that would be considered objectifying women.
She looks good in her yellow bikini.
In what sense?
It flatters her figure.
In what part of her figure is being flattered?
The part that you can
Alice,
see.
you're allowed to say this.
The camera, I would say her torso is being flattered.
Alice, you're allowed to say this. Come on.
She has an ample bosom, I would say.
Would you call it attractive?
I mean, not for me, but maybe for men, probably.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
So anyway, it's fair to say that this young lady is endowed. Is that right? Does that work?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
She looks good in her bikini.
They make a nice pair, as the White House press corps might say, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anyway, she looks good in her bikini. That's fair to say. That's fine. Good for her. Kendra Starr is not pleased with the attention she's getting at the beach. She lives in Florida, so beaches are a thing, I'm to understand, in Florida.
Okay, so you want to know why I hate men? Now, not specifically all men, but mainly men who are retired.
Me.
And are older than my father.
Why would you hate
retirees? Hate them because anytime I go out by myself, they are the creeps. It's never just men. It's never boys my age. It's never anyone that's like closer to my age or in like their 30s. It's always someone that is older than 65. So I was just at the beach and
this fat guy comes up to me and asks me if I heard about the produce manager at the supermarket.
I was just laying there by myself. There was no one around me. Like, I went to this beach specifically so that way there wouldn't be anyone near me. I would be comfortable laying there on my own. There was like a family in front of me, but like there was no one next to me. I was like at the top of the beach so that way I knew that no one would just be near me. And what did this old decide to do? He decided to go directly next to me at the top of the beach. Not like far enough away that it didn't creep me out, but just like he was so close to me. I was like, yeah, this, I'm out. But you know what he decided to do? He decided to set up right next to me. He decided to put his chair facing towards me. He wasn't just like, oh, I'm just gonna be right here.
He was Kendra watching.
Because it's close to the exit. I'm gonna be right here. I'm gonna, ooh, or he was more of like a, ooh, look at that girl over there. I'm gonna go sit up next to her. He set up his umbrella, and it was angled to where it was blocking the ocean, so he was only looking at me.
He's staring at her or the parking lot. Not one of the usual places you look on the beach.
He had his chair facing towards me. I saw him set up right there. I waited for him to set up right next to me. I only had my purse, my cooler, my cup, and my towel.
I only had 43 things. Like, what's in the cooler? What happens in the cooler?
Beverages, I would assume.
Thank you, Elsa.
So I was like, as soon as he sets up, I am out. So I stood up, I grabbed all my and I left. And once I was at the top of the pier, I looked back at him and he was staring at me. He's like, why the are you leaving? I'm like, bitch, because you're right next to me. I was there by myself to be by myself so I can just listen to a podcast and get a tan on before I go to Miami.
Nope. But the old man that was there, Alice. What's your take on this?
Well, I think regardless of the gender issues at play.
What gender issues?
Like the male-female interaction, right? I think that it's annoying when you like kind of go off to a remote corner of the beach by yourself and somebody comes and sets up very close to you. Mm-hmm. Regardless of if they're creepy or not. Like, it's just invasive and weird. I find it annoying.
Well, yes.
That being said, you're in a bikini at a beach in public. Like,
right.
People are going to see you, and they may look at you.
Yes, your entire, almost, it's, a bikini is underwear. Mm-hmm. It is minimal.
Right.
So the female form is there to be seen. to be beheld.
Well, she
it's not
wanted
there
to get a
to be
tan.
beheld. I'm not saying that she's there to be on display, because she obviously was trying to get a tan. So she went to the top of the beach, which is like where the car exhaust is.
But you could go to like a tanning salon if it was just
hold on.
tan.
Well, tell me.
Mm-hmm.
So people like to go to the beach. She had her book. She had her cooler. She had her Now she makes it clear that she's not offended at everybody who sidles up to her. She's offended at
old people.
She bemoans the fact that people due to her age aren't doing it. She said they don't do it.
Yeah.
So she knows that she looks good and she's wanting to look good, but she's trying to have a niche audience but unfortunately for her, because men are men, she's got a broad audience.
Right.
I also think, and so that's the problem. I mean, when you're kind of fishing, you
can't control what bites on the
right.
hook. Right.
Exactly. And okay, Sally, what happened downstairs?
He made it in that little snowman cup that gets really hot, and I burned my finger.
Oh, okay. You probably put it in there too long. Or whatever.
Okay. Yeah,
okay,
he should probably
run
stay
your
from
finger
the
in cold water.
Okay. So right, she was there, and I mean that's the thing, and I think this dude sounds like not the.
You're
most,
not here to defend the dude.
No, he's not the most subtle. I mean, you're facing the chair away from the beach. At the beach, it doesn't sound like there were too many people at the beach. I think generally,
I also don't necessarily trust her age estimates.
Oh yeah, no.
Because when you're like 20, everyone seems like they're 65.
Oh yeah, no.
Like they're probably like 40.
Yeah, definitely.
And they still think they're young and cool.
Maybe. I don't even know. But he probably, if he was really old, he probably was at the age that he could give a bleep anymore. You know, she can think I'm a pervert all day. I'm going to enjoy the sights. You know, there's probably you hit a plateau at some point. It's like, what are they going to do? Haul me away? I'm 86. But maybe not. But so that's what my feeling is, that she may have a gripe. But I would also say, if you're in Florida, find a beach full of people. You know, to have a target-rich environment. That way, a creep can go off to somebody else. That's just how it is. You know, people are going to look at you when you're a woman. But this is where I wanted to talk to you, Alice.
Okay.
You know what a great guy you married? You probably do.
Yes, I do.
Do you realize that I do not ogle women at the, I've crushed abs today.
You did?
Yeah, I crush abs just about every day now for 2 weeks and change, on weekdays anyway. And I have my huge headphones on. I am usually the most out of shape thing there. Usually. I am dressed badly. I sometimes have black socks with white sneakers. I am not cool. I am, whatever. I'm an eyesore, certainly. So I just go into my own little zone. But you should be happy, because I don't ogle women at the gym.
That's great. Congratulations.
Or even stare at women, because there's beautiful women at gyms. They look great in gym clothes, a lot of women, etc., right?
Yeah.
So, and this is on purpose. Do you realize? And the guys listening to us right now cannot say the same. They are of more lower and depraved character than I am.
I'm sure some of them are of great character.
I don't know. So I don't take my glasses into the gym. So everything's blurry. So I can't see really.
And no women have come up to you yet and said, like, hey, I think you're bomb. And
I didn't say that doesn't happen, Alice. I did notice today that while my podcast was in between songs, that I audibly make pain noises and spit. Which cannot be great.
I do think your working out has decreased your hacking cough that you have.
The hack cough is just about gone, and plus the filter in my CPAP. It's a fat person issue. They don't want to do it. Okay, so time for another idiot, Alice. Let's go to Lamery M. Ryan. Now you're gonna have to help me with this, or maybe not.
The fellow white women, it's that time again. Yep, it's...
This is another TikToker who's got this weird condescending lecturing tone, very proud of herself, self-assured, somebody who any guy out there is listening is going to have violent thoughts. I don't, because I don't judge people. But this is Lemery M. Ryan with a message for... This is all for all you white women listening to the Burn Barrel podcast. I endorse everything she says.
The fellow white women, it's that time again. Yep, it's racism still exists o'clock. I know, it's super...
Did you hear the time?
It's racism still exists o'clock.
Yeah, she's very clever.
Super weird because you held those signs and we went to those protests, and it's almost as if the systematic form of oppression that's existed since before this country was founded was going to take more than a year to dismantle. And I'm really interested in dismantling that system. And if you are too, I want you to come with me. I'm going to start with a series on some of the characteristics of white supremacy, and I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to f*** up. And I'm going to do that work, and I'm willing to be embarrassed, and I'm willing to be called out, because I want this system to stop more than I want to feel comfortable. Because people who don't look like me don't get that choice to feel comfortable. So if you're willing to do that, come with me, like, follow. If you're not, you are so welcome to get the...
So there she is, Lemery M. Ryan. She's going to do the work, Alice. Because people who don't look like her don't get to feel comfortable.
Right.
Nowhere. If you're not as white as Lemery M. Ryan, you get no comfort.
So shouldn't then, though, like, we work on ways that we can make people of color more comfortable and not ways that we can make white people more uncomfortable? Like, shouldn't we even it out in that direction?
No, we have to do the work. We have to be made to feel. Can you?
We
imagine,
have to suffer a little bit.
The thing is that like somebody who's got the mind why is that person? Alice, I'm not suggesting anything dramatic. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, what is the raison d'etre of Lemery M. Ryan? Why is she walking on Earth? What is her purpose?
Because to call out racism on TikTok.
It's a joyless downer of a demeanor.
But isn't that the point? If that's like what you're doing with your life, isn't that the point? Is to like suffer for a cause? It's like a type of martyrdom for the anti-racism.
To stifle natural sources of joy. So you can just self-flagellate throughout your life.
Yeah, well, all religions have, like, fasting or, some sort of...
God. By the way...
sort of, like, organized self-deprivation.
One of the reasons that I like somebody who I'm dating now named Kendra Starr, Alice, is that she is not joyless. She's pissed off that guys are looking at her in her bikini, but she's not joyless. She has joy. She wants to get tanned and go party in Miami. She's all for it. She also did in another TikTok. She also shoved it in everybody's faces, also wearing a bikini, that she was swimming in the ocean, enjoying life, while everybody else's state was closed down because she's in Florida. So she might be pro DeSantis. All right, so the last person on TikTok that we're going to talk about is somebody with the handle Roses Sprouts. And I'm going to need your help on this, Alice.
Okay.
Because I have a rudimentary knowledge of several things, but I don't know what the hell this person is talking about.
I don't even know what this is supposed to mean, because the reason we use the word trans mask is not every trans masculine person identifies as a trans man. It's why I'm a lesbian. Use some brain cells, babe.
So how did I run afoul of this idiot now? There's a new rule now? What happened? What is she talking about?
So apparently she's trans-masculine or trans-mask.
Okay.
Which means that...
Can we at some point just put a moratorium on all the interesting things that we're going to be? Okay, I get it. You're interesting and different. Yeah. Okay, just like all of your friends. You're all interesting and different in the same weird way. That's fine.
So that means she's trans. So she's like being more masculine than a woman would normally be, which is a type of being trans. But
is she a biological female or male?
Yes, female.
Okay.
She's biologically
but how is she
female.
More masculine?
Because she's trans masculine. So she's being more masculine than a typical female, and she identifies with the trans label, but she's like on the gender spectrum. She's not fully over to the word man.
I don't even know what this is supposed to mean because the reason we use the word trans mask is not every trans masculine person identifies as a trans man. It's why I'm a lesbian. Use some brain cells, babe.
So she still considers herself a lesbian because she likes women, I guess. So she identifies with being a lesbian, and so like on the skit, like if you picture gender as a line of like what you identify with in your head, right? And on one side is being a woman and on one side is being a man. She's like towards the boy side, but like not all the way to man.
So with the exception of her circle of friends, who I assume are also role playing, void of joy clowns.
Mm-hmm.
Does she know that those people, the majority of people who simply use their normal deductive reasoning, use their brain cells for that, will just categorize her immediately as simply an a-hole? Does she not know that?
No. Because in her circles that she's in, she's not praise and adulation for that.
Okay. So, okay. What a fun circle to be in.
So, because that's the reason why people do this. That's like what the Abigail Shrier book is all about and everything, is that like...
Right, social contagion.
Right, is that like young women are in a stage in their lives where they're like not comfortable with everything that's going on with their bodies, and puberty's awkward and it's terrible and whatever. And then like...
You know what, maybe I should be a jerk about it in video.
No, but then they like... Then if they say they're this, then people are like, oh, wow, like, that's amazing. And, you know, like, validate that as, like, really brave and wonderful and interesting and cool, you know? So that's the problem, is it's like we've just incentivized all this bad behavior.
Listen, we had more stuff that we have.
Yeah, but we're already over an hour.
Yeah, we have another fake Indian stuff. We got a whole bunch to get to tomorrow. Oh, dang it.
Lots of things going
Dang
on.
It.
That being said, I do have to announce that our locals page and our Patreon page are up.
Very cool.
So starting next week, we're going to start to have some ads in the show.
Oh, Alice, can I say something without you getting mad at me?
Yes.
I actually, guys, if you go to locals, you can actually witness me telling my pear joke. And on TikTok. That's
did you put it on local?
Yeah, I did. Is it not up there?
I don't think I saw it on there when I
put it up there.
Putting something up earlier.
I tried to. Maybe it's angry at me. Maybe I got flagged for pear abuse.
I don't know, but there's some very cool new potential merch that I designed that's up there.
Oh, very cool. And I say that having not really known. I'm not acting like, oh, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know.
No. So, but anyway, these are going to be places where you can get ad-free episodes, both locals and Patreon.
Oh, my goodness.
And do you like that
I love
merch? It. Okay. So that's a surprise. You can go check that out.
Is my...
And on locals is like sort of a social media community, but it's just for fans of the show. So for $5 a month, you can go be on the locals and you can like comment on stuff and share stuff. And it's like just with other Burn Barrel podcast fan people. And then on Patreon, there's not so much of a community thing on Patreon, but there will also be the ad-free episodes, and there will also be some additional content. So starting this Sunday, we're going to do an additional segment after the show. That's like a bonus, the mics are still on show afterwards, and that will be exclusively on Patreon. Then we'll do like a live show once a month where you can comment and talk to us while we're doing the live stream, things like that. So you can go. All the tiers are explained on the Patreon site, and everything's explained on the local site. That is burnbarrel.locals.com or patreon.com/burnbarrel. So those are two. And in case you're like Tom and you can't spell barrel, it has 2 R's and 1 L.
Are you sure about that?
Yes. On your computer folder that's labeled Burn Barrel, it's spelled with 2 L's. So
I stand by that. Hold on, I'm going to title.
So burnbarrel.locals.com. Tom's putting his pear joke up there right now. So you can comment if you want to give him feedback on the pear joke. That's a good place to do it. Or patreon.com/burnbarrel. Those are your choices where after this week you'll be able to find all the episodes ad-free if you just simply can't stand ads, or if you want bonus content or to chat with us and other Burn Barrel people. We do have to organize some kind of in-person Burn Barrel event.
Yeah, agree.
Agree.
You know who will be there, Alice?
Mm-hmm.
Our friend Jason and Caroline will be there, they happen to be a couple of listeners and friends in Massachusetts. And by the way, congratulations to Bennett K, who has graduated, Alice.
That's awesome. Congratulations to Bennett.
Good man going places.
I've already demanded an invite to the graduation party.
Yes, and if you want a shout out, feel free to let us know.
Yeah, come talk to us on Local.
Happy to do it.
And we'll see you soon. Anyway, so that's, again, burnbarrel.locals.com or patreon.com/burnbarrel. You can also just chat with us on regular social media. That's burnbarrelpod on Twitter or facebook.com/burnbarrelpodcast. You can send us an email, burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com. You can visit burnbarrelpodcast.com or go to our YouTube channel also. That's Tom Shattuck's Burn Barrel. So we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, everybody.